should have access to one economy. This isn't a biblical one economy or anything like that, but at least in America, it's largely divided among class and race for people who have access and don't have access, which I believe is very similar here. I wanted to talk about, after working with you all for the last couple of days and meeting so many people, how our work is relationship-based and network-based. And I've been reading, forget his name again, and I knew I would forget his name, Stephen Johnson. He wrote a great book about social innovation and kind of the 7 things that allow innovation to happen. And one of them is networking and personal relationships. And then one thing that One Economy has done for 10 years is we've been listening. We listen to the private sector, we listen to the researchers, and we listen to the government, and we listen to people in communities where we work. These 4 guys founded us in the year 2000, 2001. Ray Ramsey's now the chair of TechNet, which is a kind of a lobbying nonprofit with, that's funded by Google, Yahoo, Microsoft, and all those guys. David Saunier is my boss. He's the director of our media department. He's the only one that's still with the company. Alec Ross is with the Department of State, and Ben Hecht is somewhere else fancy. What was different about our work, though, what's different about our approach is we believe that people should have choice, that they do have self-respect, and that they have some self-reliance. We believe that we need a profound and urgent national commitment, and I would extend this to an international commitment to bring the power of information to all Americans, regardless of income, race, age, or geography. And because of my new role, I want to add regardless of platform or device, right? It doesn't matter how we're getting online, we should all have access to the information. So 2001, broadband to the home, outrageous idea. The housing developers were like, what do you mean? People can't take control of their own internet. They don't know how to connect a computer. People who were setting up the computing labs were like, you think they're going to be able to load Norton antivirus? We got kicked out of meetings. We just kept pushing and pushing. We were networked. We worked with, Cisco did a bunch of layoffs in 2000. We got 5 of their people for a year based on their layoff strategy. And that became our access services department, bringing broadband to the home. We also had a couple of people from Department of Housing and Urban Development. So what they did is together, they took some research from, I think it was coming out of Pew Internet Trust or Pew American Life at the time, and they had this campaign called Bring It Home. Sorry for the blurry graphics, it was all I had on my laptop. They walked around, instead of publications and instead of kind of a broad policy approach, they went into the offices. The HUD guy was in his 60s, he had access to hundreds of names, and they walked in and knocked on doors, and with the help of the funding from these organizations, the Bring IT Home ended up changing the affordable housing finance system in 42 states so that competitive bidding allowed housing developers who offered broadband a higher competitive bid for their developments. And we don't have the tough research numbers. We have a very good group of surveys that we did internally that show us that 300,000 Americans, which we're calculating is about 90,000 homes, 3 or 4 people getting online per home, have affordable access in their homes. And that was ending in about 2006. Access is one thing, you bring people to wire. Well, actually you're bringing them this fire hose, you're like connecting them to a fire hydrant of information, and we all know how hard it is to find information, so we kind of, right away at the beginning, we invented a tool called Beehive. It was a tool that was designed in English and Spanish, and was based on the research that we had looked at. It was designed with limited literacy and numeracy ability, so it was written for like an 8th grade reading level, and a lot of visual tools, and this is where we started to, already in 2001, 2002, started to get into user interface design and trying to figure out like what people would use. We weren't very good at it. We had, by 2003, we had about 1 million total views, total unique users on our site. In a country of 300 million, that's not very much. But we did, the second thing that Stephen Johnson talks about is the ability to iterate or make mistakes. And that was what we did. We put the stuff out there. We started building it. We went off some basic research and some gut feelings and some talking to people. As we created the Beehive, we did lots of what a researcher would call ethnographic research. We did surveys, we did focus groups, we talked to people at the housing developments and those sorts of things. By 2003, we realized that we needed to have an on-the-ground presence, or that people were not going to start adopting the internet. So even though we had the beehive and we had all these wires, we invented with our partners the Digital Connectors program that launched in 4 cities around the country. It basically is a training program that helped young people still helps young people to do things like connect computers, build their personal skills, their business skills, lots of professional development, 14 to 21-year-olds for the most part. Socially and culturally relevant, by about 2005 we had trained about 1,200 digital connectors. It's also a community service program, so they go in and they help the computing centers that were still existing in all these housing developments. They clean off the computers, they dust off the mice, they repair computers and turn 12 non-working machines into 6 machines that the community could actually use. So this was where we started to iterate, and we did make some mistakes, but now by this time the kind of 3 streams of one economy are all together. We have access, we have media, and we have training. That's the number of hours where we were in 2005. So then we kind of get back to listening. I think 2003 was when broadband was first offered on Verizon phones in the United States, so we still have to keep listening to the industry and listening to the folks that we're working with. This is where we start to get into some bigger public-private partnerships. AT&T is our largest carrier, and they're quite a behemoth. I've been working with them over the last year, and it's really hard to get any new, like doing a press release with AT&T is ridiculous. 2.5 weeks. So we're moving to a model of rather than just getting housing developers to come pay for the lines, we started to get AT&T involved. There's a unique policy issue with the Federal Communications Commission in the U.S. that internet service providers can't give away their bandwidth. I don't know exactly the details of the law. So basically AT&T said, let's do 50,000 homes at no cost for 2 years, and hopefully we'll share with them the joy of the internet, and then they'll start paying for it after a couple of years. They'll see how much they can save in banking or healthcare or other online tools. So they basically paid us what they would, what it would normally cost per person per line, which was several $1 million when you're talking about 50,000 people, and based on other research that was showing the number of Americans online, we targeted, I think, 6 communities with that piece, and they were able to give away a bunch of lines through us, and we were able to offer 2 years free, and now those people are starting to pay. Not all of them are still at AT&T, but a lot of them are, and a lot of them, now that the technology has kind of grown, might be with other companies. That last image was that's the Knight Foundation. Those are the folks in the United States who are really concerned with this problem of journalism. They're doing a lot of research into that now. They're running a lot of innovation contests and things. One of the things that Knight Foundation is really into is local content. And I think you guys have blown us out of the water as far as the community arts centers and the media centers. We've done that throughout the 70s and 80s with our cable access centers, and that's kind of fallen by the wayside. So One Economy started building our resource locator, where we grab tons and tons of database information from all kinds of service providers and aggregate it in one place based on your zip code. That's just kind of the seed for something later, another tool that we've created. We also localize the beehive, so you can log into your beehive with a zip code, and then you have local content that tells you what the local news is, and in many cases we have local producers that are producing relevant content for people. A couple other things that came out of the localization movement in this 2006-2007 is Healthcare for You, which I think is still up in 4 cities. It's basically how to get access to healthcare, because it's really hard in the U.S. Emergency Zone, we did some side projects, got some, what is it called, opportunistic funding, and did some work with Hurricane Katrina, things like that. So we started to develop new tools. This is a Make It Easy toolbox where we now are connecting the media. Let's say you watch a video about teen pregnancy or something like that. We've got these toolboxes that can be easily populated and take you out to content that can help you actually make a choice or do something related to the content that you're watching. And these toolboxes are embeddable throughout all of our media property and also through anyone else's. So we've had some success with partner organizations saying, hey, can you put a a bunch of links to the stuff we're doing, and when somebody's looking for healthcare or whatever the situation may be, they have this toolbox they can use. The cool thing about the toolbox is it's kind of pre-mobile, and it loads really nice on a mobile device too. So we already kind of have some things that we can use for mobile. Coming up to 2008, this is this is probably the best example of listening that we've done. Walmart, as you know, is probably the largest retailer in the world now. They must have thousands of stores in the United States. I believe that their actual corporation gave us the money for this project called My Tax Back. There's a unique tax situation in the U.S. If you make less than $28,000 and you pay rent, you can get this tax credit. It's to encourage people to work. If you work the whole year and you pay rent, you can get this extra money back. 30% of the people who qualify don't know that they qualify, and they don't apply. So we said to Walmart, well, we fished it around with lots of companies, but Walmart is one of the places where those kind of people are probably going to shop if they get an extra $2,200 back. They're going to go, wow, I got this check, let's go get the stuff that you need. So Walmart was a natural choice. It took probably about a year to kind of build this private partnership with them, but basically, the first year we aimed at 1 million people. We aimed to have 1 million people file their taxes and get more money back. Talking to Lee Davenport, who's the manager of this program, the first year I think we did 50,000. So he was like really bummed that first year. But Walmart had faith, they kept with us. I think in the last year we had about 170,000 people, somewhere on the order of $8 million directly back to people. The one fun part about this is there's these vans. We have these 4 vans that go around the country that say My Free Taxes from January 15th to April 15th, and they do it in Walmart parking lots. Which I just think it's just sick. It's just disgusting capitalism, and I love it. One of the things for you guys, as I kind of started to read, all of these things on the side are things that I really want to hopefully apply to your guys' situation and your work, is the accidental producer. And this is something that came out of the work with Just Think when I was working with teachers in the Bay Area and a couple of national teacher symposiums. Teachers have to become producers now. They have to create media for their youth. They have to blog. They have to interface with their youth on Facebook. I have a teacher friend who has two or three Facebook accounts, one for each classroom, where she can share her personal stuff under her pseudonym with her friends, and then has her Teacherly account over here. You guys are accidental producers. You're not going to be able to just write about your topics anymore. You're going to have to create things that are going to affect both the people that you're working with and the society at large outside of the academic and policy world in order to get the work, I think, really seen. One Economy became an accidental producer after YouTube launched in 2005. We said, oh, well, we got to have streaming video. So by 2008, we launched the public internet channel. It was a kind of a cool thing because just before the 08 elections, we got both Barack Obama and Senator McCain to sign on to our press release for this, even though we didn't know that they were even going to run for president at the time. So that was kind of fun. We produced shows. There's a show about a gentleman who's got no kidney disease, and he's on dialysis, but he's this sports hero. And did a show where he rode his bike across the country, and we followed him along. Los Americans is produced by a Hollywood producer named, Robert Townsend. He's very popular among the African American and immigrant communities. It's about growing up as an immigrant. Diary of a Single Mom is the flagship show that we launched the program with. Right now there's an online forum on Facebook that meets every Mondays to talk about the difficulties of being a single mom. Hundreds of people participate. 9 is a program I'll show you a clip from, I think. Yeah? Can't hear anything. Let's see. Oh?
What is that supposed to mean? Like, so, what are you trying to say? But we only did it a couple times. See, you're supposed to be graduating this year. What are we we supposed to say?